Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello and welcome to this bonus episode of Total Retail Talks. I'm Kristina Stidham, Digital Content Director for Total Retail, and today I'm joined by my colleague Joe Keenan, Editor-in-Chief of Total Retail and the usual host of this podcast. We're excited today to talk about the release of Total Retail's latest research report, the 2023 version of our annual Top 50 Fastest Growing Retailers report. So welcome to the show as a guest, Joe.
Yeah, thanks, Kristina. It's fun to be here. And like you said, we're excited to talk about our latest report, the Top 50 Fastest Growing Retailers.
So let's get into this year's report. Obviously, we have collected data on all of these retailers and ranked them into the top 50 list. Why do we produce this report each year, and how is the data calculated?
Yeah, so first I'll start with why do we produce this report each year? So net sales, obviously, while not the only measurement to gauge an organization's financial health, it's certainly a critical component to overall financial health. So the report provides a look at the retailers that are driving the greatest top line sales growth, as well as some insights into how the top performers are doing that. So what we do is we start with a master list of roughly 160 publicly traded US-based retailers. And then we go into their investor relations pages and compare their year-over-year net sales for the most recently reported fiscal year. So for this year, the overwhelming majority was their 2022 fiscal year. So we were looking at their 2022 fiscal year net sales versus their 2021 fiscal year net sales. Just a note on that, most companies have reported their prior year fiscal sales by about February to early March. So we collected the data a couple of months ago in mid-February through March. So and then obviously once we have that data set of their fiscal year sales we are able to then compare and grade out the retailers with the largest year-over-year increase and then rank them 1 through 50. So that's a little bit of the methodology here at play.
Great. And looking at the report, we have companies with a 10% year-over-year difference up to our top ranked company, which has a staggering 66% year-over-year difference. So speaking of those top performers, could you just give us some insight into which companies sat atop this year's rankings?
Sure. Yeah. So noted there's quite a disparity between our number one ranked company all the way down to number 50. So this year's number one company is Boot Barn, which you said boosted its year-over-year sales by nearly 67% in its 2022 fiscal year. So for Boot Barn, the ability for it to sell its products at full price and not have to rely on that discount-heavy approach that so many retailers and brands are utilizing to win competitors today in such a competitive marketplace really helped to drive up that top-line sales. And not only did that full price approach help it to increase sales, it also yielded significant gains in merchandise margin and obviously then improvements to the bottom line as well as the top line. So number 2 on this year's list is MillerKnoll, which hosted a 60% year-over-year increase in net sales. So MillerKnoll operates in a category that saw a boom during the pandemic, office furniture and home decor, and the company's really been able to sustain that momentum in a post-pandemic environment. And then for numbers 3 through 5 in this year's report, there's really a common theme, and it's their connection to travel. So Casey's General Store was number 3 with a 48.76% year-over-year increase. Travel Centers of America came right behind at number 4 with a 47.82% year-over-year increase. And then number 5 this year was Samsonite with a 42.5% year-over-year increase in net sales. So the common theme, as I noted, all 3 of those retailers and brands are catering to travelers in some way, shape, or form. So this boom in travel post-pandemic has led to the sales growth that we've seen for those 3 brands that I just called out.
And in addition to the financial data that you mentioned, the report also includes profiles of our top 5 companies on the list, and they provide a deeper look into how these businesses drove their sales growth last year. Like you mentioned, for Boot Barn, not having to rely on a discount-heavy approach, we go into more details for all top 5 companies. So what are some of the other insights that are shared in those profiles?
Yeah, so to your point, Kristina, we do include some insight, some color into, not just the data itself, but, what is behind the sales increases that these companies are posting. And for Boot Barn, it really is seeing tremendous growth in its brick and mortar business. So in its 2022 fiscal year, it posted a 57.2% same store sales increase. So with that in mind and the success it's seen in physical retail, it's not surprising Boot Barn opened 28 new stores in its most recent fiscal year, bringing its total to 300. And it's going to continue down that path. It plans to open triple that number all the way up to 900 stores as part of its store expansion plan, which was talked about this year. So really leaning into physical retail for Boot Barn. For Miller Knoll, number 2 on the list, it's capitalizing on the combined strength of its recently merged Herman Miller and Knoll brand, and it's led to economies of scale and expanded product assortment for the combined Miller Knoll organization, and that's helped the company to meet increased demand for office and home furniture throughout the year. For number 3, Casey's General Store, a growing loyalty program has really been catalyst for its sales increase. Its loyalty program grew to 5 million members at year end, and it impressively added over 1.3 million loyalty members in its most recent fiscal year. So getting those loyal members to shop at Casey's more frequently has led to sales gains. Another point I would call out about Casey's is the growth of its private label products. That has really helped to drive sales as well as margin, as one would expect. Number 4, Travel Centers of America has really invested in upgrading its store locations, both existing locations that also opened a handful of stores in its 2022 fiscal year. It's also not only those new, investments in its stores, but it's also invested in merchandise as well. It's expanded its food offerings, including more healthy options for travelers and those commercial truckers that frequent its locations. So becoming more cognizant of an expanded merchandise assortment at its travel center locations has helped to increase sales for that business. And then number 5, Samsonite, it really has made a commitment to being an omnichannel brand. It's seen significant growth in its D2C retail business, close to 46% year over year gain there. Its wholesale business, nearly a 45% increase in wholesale sales. And then lastly, its direct-to-consumer e-commerce business posted nearly a 24% year-over-year increase in sales. So the ability to sell its products across multiple channels, having that omni-channel relationship with its customers, has helped Samsonite crack the top 5 of this year's list. Another note about Samsonite is it's been known in its 110 plus year history for its innovative products. It's continued to introduce new products, and that's helping it to capture increased demand in the travel category, which we talked about post-pandemic here.
Some really interesting insights into what this year's top companies are leaning into to help drive impressive sales gains. And from the data we're looking at, it's particularly investments in stores, loyalty programs, omnichannel, and product. So really interesting there, and for other retailers to take a look and try to see what they can bring into their businesses. So thank you so much, Joe, for joining me on this bonus episode of Total Retail Talks, as well as our audience for listening in. I encourage all of our listeners to download this year's Top 50 Fastest Growing Retailers report to see the companies that made the list and pick up more of those insights that can be potentially relevant for your own organization, looking at the year-over-year data and our profiles included in the report. Go to mytotalretail.com/resources to download your free copy today.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at mytotalretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Talks.